FAIRtax is coming, don't stand in the way. FAIRtax is coming across the USA. FAIRtax is coming, clean up this mess. We got to get rid of the IRS. Hey, hey! Hey, hey!
Hello and welcome again to FAIRtax Power Radio. I'm Bob Paxton.
And I'm Ron Malero.
And we are the FAIRtax
FAIRtax
Guys.
Guys.
And I tell you what, Ron, I think I'm just going to sit back, take a nap during this episode. You brought so much stuff with you about all of the stuff that is in the news these days about taxes and the IRS.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to give you plenty of time to do your thing. Have at it.
You're going to have to participate.
Oh, I will.
And you're going to want to participate.
Oh, yes. I'll stay awake to
stuff.
ask you a question every now and then.
Yeah. We decided to do current events with the news. You know, in the news, what's in the news in terms of taxes. I did a quick search. All I did on my search bar was tax news. I got 11 pages of headlines. 11 pages. I only printed out a couple of them. But they're from about.com, taxnews.com, the IRS, Forbes, money.cnn, Accounting Today, USA Today, Tax Analyst, and so forth. And so I chose one of them, Tax Analyst. No, I'm sorry, the Tax Advisor. And I went to their website, and I typed in tax news. I got 2 more pages of headlines. And obviously I'm not going to read them all, but some of them, some of these you'll recognize. IRS issues 2016-17 special per diem rates for travel. Anybody that, you know, is an outside salesman or something, or does volunteer work and puts miles on your own vehicle, you know what that is. This one, this is a good one. Non-discrimination relief for closed defined benefit plans extended.
Huh?
Yeah, I read that to my wife, and she had pretty much, you know, I've read that 4 or 5 times. I have no idea. I'm sure, you know, like Steve Hayes probably knows what it is because, you know, the president of our national group, because he is a tax attorney. It makes some sense to him. But new cyber attacks threaten tax professionals. These are just a few of the headlines. This is a good one. Final regulations amend definitions of marriage. How you like that one, Bob?
Well, the Supreme Court just did the same thing. I don't think I want to mess with that one too much.
No, but it's interesting that the IRS just gets involved in everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do.
And this one we are going to talk about a little later. IRS fails to notify victims and Social Security Administration of identity theft cases.
That's nasty.
That's real bad. Okay. A couple others. Due diligence, tax hazards for tax practitioners. All right, the list keeps growing. And finally, Second Circuit holds taxpayer not subject to IRS summons. Sometimes things do go in the right way. So,
oh, mercy. Well, I'll tell you what, there are multiplied millions of reasons to get rid of the tax code.
Yeah.
But let me throw you a curveball here real quick before we get started into your research. This is being recorded just a couple of days after the presidential debate, the first one between Trump and Hillary Clinton. And what really caught my ear was when Hillary was kind of thinking out loud, wondering why Trump was not going to release his tax returns. And she was just kind of speculating, well, maybe he paid 0 taxes or very little taxes. And Trump jumps in and says, well, that makes me smart. So we still don't know what's in there, but the complexity of the tax code that lets someone like Donald Trump pay little or no taxes is another huge reason this whole thing needs to go away.
Yeah, Bob is absolutely right. If he paid no taxes, he did it legally. There's a difference between evasion and avoidance, tax evasion and tax avoidance. If a person or a company avoids taxes by using all the different sections of the tax code, well, that's smart business. If somebody evades the taxes by not reporting income or over-reporting deductions, that's illegal. All right? Do we really think that somebody running for president would be practicing illegal? I mean, they're going to have him under a microscope. Yeah. So it is interesting.
He's been audited every year for like 15 years.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and also I think it was 5 years ago, there was a big brouhaha over the fact that GE paid no taxes. And I reminded people, GE paid no taxes legally because that's the tax code Congress has given us. You want to get angry at somebody? Get angry at Congress.
Yeah, but it cost GE, and I'm sure it cost Donald Trump a pretty penny to put those tax returns together with those small numbers on the bottom of it. So that's what we mean by compliance costs that we've talked about a long time here on this program. That what it costs over and above your tax liability, even if you get your tax liability down to nothing or next to nothing, you have still paid, in somebody like that, multiplied millions of dollars, an army of accountants and lawyers to get that to happen. And, those compliance costs get passed on to we, the consumer. So the whole system stinks and we need to get rid of it. Okay, there's your curveball. We hit it out of the park. Go ahead with your research.
Well, it just so happens that my first item here, the headline is H&R Block to Trump. We want to simplify taxes too. All right, this was in February of 2016, and it's from CNBC. This may sound strange coming from a company that specializes in navigating the complexity of taxes to make money from filing millions of returns. But H&R Block CEO Bill Cobb said Tuesday he supports discussions to make the 74,000-page tax code much less onerous. Well, we agree with that.
What do you want to bet he wants to change that 74,000-page tax code only down to maybe 65,000 pages?
Yeah, that would be my guess. The next quote here. There are ways to simplify the tax code. For example, there are 5 definitions of a child.
How can that be? They only come in 2 flavors.
Yeah, that's really strange. All right. Some of this is silly, Cobb said. But I think it's silly to talk about just ripping up a 74,000-page tax code. It's too complex today to go to 0 pages.
Well, let's knock it down to, say, 133.
Well, for one thing, he's confining himself to an income tax frame of mind. It is easier to simplify it if you get out of the income tax.
Yes, you have got to start thinking out of the box.
Yeah.
The income tax, again, is the only system that any working person today has ever known. It came into effect in 1913, over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And but just because it's the only system we've ever known does not mean at all that it is the best way to do it.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And that's what Bob and I have been talking about for a long time on FAIRtax Power Radio. There is a better way. Let's see, the next one here. IRS warns of 2017 tax refund delays. This is from Forbes, and it's dated August of 16. Refunds. Reminds me of the word, the takeoff on a word, intoxication. Intoxication, that euphoric feeling you get when you receive your tax refund until you realize it was your money to begin with.
Yes. The government is not giving you anything when you get a refund check.
No. In fact, since you didn't make any interest on that, you're actually losing. So it starts off, it's better to owe taxes in April than to get a refund. That's a blanket statement, and that's good. I always try to make sure that I owe a little bit when I do my taxes in April instead of getting a refund. I would rather use my own money the way I see fit instead of giving the government an interest-free loan.
That seems a bit counterintuitive, but if that is the case, if you are getting something back, you have given the government an interest-free loan.
Yeah.
And if you kept that money in your pocket, you could have gotten the interest off of it instead of them.
Yep. So,
and I don't trust anybody that's $19 trillion in debt either.
Good point. Okay, so it's better to owe taxes in April than to get a refund. And for 2017 tax filing season, it's especially important. The Internal Revenue Service today issues a warning of 2017 tax refund delays for certain taxpayers, urging folks to adjust their tax withholding now. Well, it's a little late for that, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of.
Almost at the end of the year. We don't want people to be caught by surprise if they get their refund a few weeks later than previous years, said IRS Commissioner John Koskinen.
Well, that's better than getting it stolen by somebody that swiped your Social Security number.
All right, you're giving it away, Bob. All right. Everything in due time. Koskinen is just looking out for us. He's such a great guy. Second, the rise in identity theft is causing IRS and state authorities to spend additional review time to protect against fraud.
And just how well are they doing that?
We want people to be aware we are taking additional steps to protect taxpayers from identity theft, and sometimes that means real taxpayers faced a slight delay in the refunds, the commissioner said. So, anyways, those of us that, anybody that gets a refund after filing their taxes, it might be a little bit delayed. So don't go out and buy that brand new car, with your tax refund right away. You better hold off until you actually get the check. All right, this one. Back to school season means catch-up time for nannies. Families who have been paying a babysitter. This is from Accounting Today, and it was dated in September of 2016. Families who have been paying a babysitter or a nanny over the summer to provide child care may be able to cut back now that school is in session. Kids are going back to school. You don't need a babysitter or nanny, at least not for the whole day. But that doesn't mean they can avoid the so-called nanny tax.
Oops.
Yeah, nanny tax. Oh, let's see what this is. Families should make sure they tie up all those loose ends before they move on with the rest of their year so that it doesn't make tax time come April more complicated than it has to be. One of the ways to do that is to make sure they are paying attention to how much they pay the caregiver over the course of the summer. If the family paid the caregiver $2,000 or more, the IRS then considers the caregiver to be an employee. So parents, beware. If you're paying a nanny or a babysitter over the summer and you paid them more than $2,000, you are now considered their employer.
All right, and watch this.
What do employers have to do?
Yeah, I took your $2,000.
Yeah.
And just arbitrarily said the summer, like 13 weeks, 3 months.
Yeah.
That's only $153 a week. That will be very easy to go over.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for somebody who's qualified as a nanny. Yep. That's one important thing for families to be thinking of, and makes them responsible for having to withhold and pay taxes on the wages they paid the caregiver.
Yeah, before I so rudely interrupted you, you said that makes the person an employer, meaning the employer is responsible for withholding and for paying the employer's share of Social Security tax.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Right. Parents, you got a nanny or a babysitter and you paid them over $2,000, you are now an employer. Congratulations. And the IRS says they must withhold at least Social Security and Medicare taxes from the caregiver's paycheck. Then they are also responsible for matching an equal amount of Social Security and Medicare as the employer. So parents, beware.
Yeah, I wonder how many people run afoul of that and don't even know it.
No.
That's the problem with the complexity of the tax code. There's so much in there that people are not familiar with, and then the IRS nails them for something that they had no idea they were doing wrong.
Yeah, because mom and dad are both working, and they've got babysitter expenses, and they claim those babysitter expenses, and guess what? The IRS says, oh, listen, you paid your babysitter over $2,000. Guess what you owe us? Yeah.
Don't you want to just choke them?
Well,
sometimes, yeah.
There are a few people in the IRS. I mean, I'm not going to condemn everybody in the IRS. Remember, we talked about that one guy that my daughter ran into that really does understand it.
Mm-hmm.
All right? He's the one that told everybody in the office, if we had enacted the fair tax, none of you guys would have to be here right now.
That's true.
That's one IRS agent that gets it. Okay, let's see. The next one here. IRS warns of remote control attacks on tax preparers.
Whoa.
Ooh. This one is from Accounting Today in September of 2016. The Internal Revenue Service is warning tax professionals that identity thieves are trying to remotely take over their computers to file fraudulent tax returns using the names and IDs of their clients. Now, we've talked about this before. We've talked about tax preparers who were doing a little side business, You know, they would let their customer sign their 1040, but then what they actually sent in was something different. And when the check came back, they pocketed most of it. And it was just, But here we have tax preparers could be hacked by people. Now, we have mentioned before that the IRS computers, the commissioner has told Congress that the IRS computers are enduring at least 1 million attacks a day.
Wow.
Yeah, 1 million attacks a day. Well, you got 140 million taxpayer, returns being sent between business and individuals. So, yeah, there's a lot of information there. And there are people that are just attempting to get this information. So if they can't get it from the IRS, maybe they'll try to hack a professional tax preparer. So these people got to be on their toes. The IRS urged tax preparers Friday to double-check the settings on their tax prep software and enable all security measures to safeguard their clients' information. The IRS has been working with state tax authorities and the tax industry on an initiative called Security Summit to combat identity theft. Together, they recently launched a Protect Your Clients, Protect Yourself campaign to raise awareness of criminals targeting tax professionals and their clients' information. The commissioner recently recorded a video that the IRS posted on YouTube urging tax professionals to take precautions and safeguard their cybersecurity. So,
have we figured out that the system stinks yet?
Yeah. Now, have we ever heard of hackers going after state sales tax information?
Don't think so.
No, I just don't see any stories, and I certainly didn't in my current search. I didn't run into any.
If there's no personally identifiable information in the sales tax stuff. So that's why it's just, people love to get, these thieves love to get online and sell social security numbers and sell credit card numbers, sell stuff that is personal information. But with the sales tax, no personal information is ever collected.
That's one of the greatest benefits of the FAIRtax. It's an anonymous sales tax. There's no 1040 or anything like that. There's no agency collecting any of that information. You buy something, when you pay for it, it includes a sales tax, you're done. You've done your your due diligence to the federal government.
That's it.
Yep.
I love that part.
Yep.
The anonymous part, you do not have to, give the government the intimate financial details of your personal finances. It's none of their business.
Yep.
Thomas Jefferson would like that.
Yes, I believe Thomas Jefferson and all the founding fathers would like that. And I think, we heard what Thomas Jefferson thought of the current income tax back in episode 3, right?
Oh, yeah. You got to go back and listen to that if you haven't already. That was really good. In fact, we've done 2 of them. There's the original visit and then the follow-up visit as well. And you check them both out.
Yep. So, okay, now this one. This is also from September. This is from Forbes. I call this one a study in complexity. Now I'll do my best to read this slowly.
Slow down. Be sure we can get. I'm a simple man. Make sure you can get it through my head.
Last year, the Protecting Americans from Tax Hikes Act, called PATH, Protecting Americans from Tax Hikes.
They actually passed something like that?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Made permanent a number of expiring tax extenders. Okay, so there was some tax withholding, deduction, whatever gizmos in the tax code, and the act that they passed last year made them permanent. Okay. Although that legislation, thankfully, made planning for 2016 a little more certain, there are still a handful of tax provisions that are due to expire at the end of the year. PATH addressed many critical extenders, such as Section 197. Anybody that has a business that has equipment that is depreciated over time knows what Section 197 that has to do with depreciation of your equipment. So let me read that again. PATH addressed many critical extenders, such as Section 195 expensing and research tax credit. With those necessary provisions handled, the stakes this year are much lower. It's unlikely that the House and Senate will take any action before they adjourn in several weeks leading up to the November elections. The Joint Committee on Taxation published a comprehensive list of expiring tax provisions in 2016 and coming years. Here are a few of them, and they go on and they list a few of them. So the thing is, okay, some of these exemptions were made permanent, but others are expiring at the end of this year. So if you're affected by them, you need to know what exemptions are still there and what have expired, and you can no longer claim them. So, and you
There's got to be a simpler way to do this. There just has to be a simpler way to do this.
Bob, I believe there is. I believe there is.
Would you like to enlighten me?
Okay.
No, I think I know where we're going with this.
Okay, the next one here. The IRS doesn't tell 1 million taxpayers that illegals stole their Social Security numbers.
Now that's serious.
Yeah, we have alluded to this one before, but this is another report. In fact, when I did a search for this one, everybody was reporting on this story. I mean, this showed up in all the websites and news media and so forth because it's so onerous. And this particular one is from the Washington Times in August of 2016. The IRS has discovered more than 1 million Americans whose Social Security numbers were stolen by illegal immigrants, but officials never bothered to tell the taxpayers themselves. The agency's Inspector General said in a withering new report released Tuesday. Yeah, so the Inspector General was very upset about this. What do you think Congress has done about it?
Probably not a whole lot.
Yeah. Investigators first alerted to the IRS to the problem 5 years ago. But it's still not fixed, the Inspector General said. As a result, most taxpayers don't learn that their identities have been stolen and their Social Security files may be screwed up. The report alarmed lawmakers on Capitol Hill, who were shocked, I say, that that the IRS had gone so long without fixing the issue. Okay, but I guess we could say that Capitol Hill has gone so long without fixing the issue,
they
too.
don't pay any attention to that. Folks, have you got the picture yet? The system stinks. The system must be replaced.
Yeah, pulled out by the roots and replaced. All right, victims' numbers are stolen by illegal immigrants who need to give employers a valid Social Security number in order to get a job. Employers, get this, employers are prohibited from probing too deeply into the numbers even when they suspect fraud. So, we have this thing that's E-Verify, and it is used. It should be mandatory for all employers. You have to verify that Social Security number, make sure it belongs to this guy or gal or whoever. But what the IRS learns of the scam when when the illegal immigrants make their pay their taxes using the special. Now, here's another thing that the IRS issues: Individual Taxpayer Identification Number, ITIN. The agency doles out chiefly to illegal immigrants as a way of making sure they're paying their taxes, even if they're not supposed to be in the U.S. So
I wonder how many are actually paying their taxes.
So the IRS is in charge of, collecting taxes, and they want to collect taxes even if the person is not supposed to be here. It's taxes, so they collect them. Between 2011 and 2015, the agency flagged nearly 1.1 million returns where someone appeared to have stolen a valid Social Security number, the Inspector General said. The IRS did not have any comments on the new findings.
Wonder why.
The IRS says its role is not to enforce immigration laws, but to collect taxes. That, as much as I don't like that, I can understand that. The role of the IRS is to collect taxes, but at least let other people know, like Social Security, that, hey, we think this is a fraud here. We think there's a problem with this Social Security number. All right, but they don't do that. The IRS commissioner also said that the agency struggled to come up with a solution that wouldn't chase illegal immigrants away from filing their taxes altogether. Well, my parents and grandparents were immigrants to this country, but they did it legal. It was almost 100 years ago, too, which gives you an idea how old I am. But anyways, It's very simple for me. You do your paperwork, you check in at the border, and you register and so forth. My parents' and grandparents' name are on the walls of immigrants on the Wall of Honor of immigrants on Ellis Island. I was there. I took pictures of them. I'm very proud of that.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that's all we ask. All right, but we're talking about the fair tax, and we're not going to get off on immigration. But so I was doing a search on this, and I noticed, there was, like I said, there was all kinds of agencies reporting on this 1 million stolen Social Security numbers. And I found one from September of 2006, 10 years ago. 10 years ago. Camber Liebert thought it was a mistake when her bank told her that her daughter's Social Security number issued by the U.S. government was on file for 2 credit cards and 2 auto loans with an outstanding balance of more than $25,000. Her daughter is 3 years old.
Wow.
And it goes on from there, and it talks about it has taken this mother of the 3-year-old 4 to 5 months of about 30 hours a week trying to straighten this out because somebody stole her daughter's Social Security number, her 3-year-old daughter's Social Security number.
Probably had no clue how old she was. Just stole the number.
No, it's a Social Security number. It's a valid one. I don't fully understand how they know if it's a valid or not valid, but anyways, they gave the Social Security number and whoever it is, and actually they named the person who stole the number, and so that was 10 years ago. This has been going on for at least 10 years.
So now she's 13 and probably still doesn't have it fixed up yet.
So, and so her parents are faced with the daunting task of getting it straightened out before this kid, comes to adult and actually starts earning a living and paying taxes. I mean, I'm so far so good. Knock on wood. We haven't been subjected to that. At least not that we know of, Bob.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I always try to file mine fairly early, so because I know people who have filed late and gotten well, wait a minute, you've already filed notice back, and that's how they find out that their Social Security number has been swiped and that a fraudulent return has been filed in their name. But I'll tell you what, I'm amazed at how much stuff you were able to pull up, and we've just kind of scratched the surface on this one. But time flies when you're having fun. We got about 2 minutes left here. So we need to get into what people can do to help get rid of this awful, nasty, stinking, corrupt system and replace it with a fair tax.
We encourage you to support our efforts. You can do that by going to FAIRtax.org. There's a lot of information on FAIRtax.org. There's also another website called BigSolution.org. FAIRtax.org is kind of like where you get all the information. A better way would be reading the books, but a quick way is FAIRtax.org. There's frequently asked questions, lots of stuff there. But for those that want to get involved and truly help out with this effort, go to BigSolution.org, get involved, connect, contribute, support. And we really need your contributions. There's no way around it. All right. If you have a question for Bob and I, if you're not happy with something we're doing or whatever, and we have, I forgot to make a copy. We got a very nice comment from somebody the other day, and I forgot to write it down, but he gave us kudos for what we're doing. So thefairtaxguys@gmail.com, thefairtaxguys@gmail.com.
Oh, yeah. And go to our Facebook page.
Yep. Facebook page, Facebook/The FAIRtax Guys, FAIRtax.com. Facebook.com/The FAIRtax Guys.
There you go.
We're on Spreaker, we're on YouTube, we're on SoundCloud, we're on iTunes.
And we're still working on iHeart, right?
Yeah, I've got a theory about them, but I'll discuss with you later after the show.
Oh, mercy. All right. Well, again, we do appreciate you listening here to FAIRtax Power Radio. Hope you are getting motivated to realize that the tax code, even if it does directly affect you, even if it's not a real big part of your life, you still have to realize that it needs to go. The tax code must be pulled out by the roots and replaced with a fair tax.
Yep.
And until we meet again, I'm Bob Paxton.
And I'm Ron Malero.
We are the FAIRtax Guys, reminding you that the fair tax is America's big solution, and once you understand it,
you'll demand it.
Fair tax is coming.